Hi, I'm an addict named Cricket, and I wanted to thank you for giving me this opportunity. It's both a responsibility and a right to share the experience, strength, and hope of Narcotics Anonymous and what it's done in my life. I say it's a responsibility because you're listening, and I've been blessed to be invited into your lives as well as the other men and women that are here in the room. And we want to just thank you and wish you well on your program. So how I like to start is I'm a product of the literature, and this is our literature. This is our basic text. It's in a basic text, and I know H&I brings you the meetings as well as brings you the literature. So if you have an opportunity, and this is some quiet time, some downtime for you, so go ahead and utilize it. Here's a little bit about me. When I first came into the rooms, I hid. I actually couldn't come in right away. And what brought me to recovery was love. I want to read something out of the basic text, and that'll just kind of get me grounded. And it's in the chapter that we call Who's an Addict? And it says, when our addiction was treated as a crime or a moral deficiency, we became rebellious and were driven deeper into isolation. Some of the highs felt great, but eventually things that we had to do to continue using reflected desperation. We were caught in the grip of our disease. We were forced to survive any way that we could. We manipulated people, stole and controlled everything around us. We lied, stole, cheated, sold ourselves. We had to have drugs regardless of the cost. So that's my story in a nutshell. When I just... I'm an addict, any addict, and the program just offers freedom from active addiction, and that's pretty overwhelming. And when I sit in rooms, I always want to know, yeah, but how am I going to stop using dope? What's the speaker going to say to give me one more chance, one more day? And I was a tenderloin prostitute, and my drug of choice isn't important. But let me just say that whatever your drug of choice is and my drug of choice is, it took me to the same bottom and the same desperation. I was a shot caller in my own mind. I ran things the way I wanted to run. I was my own hustle, and it cost me a lot of things. I was really arrogant on the streets. I thought that because I was educated and Caucasian, that I could come and go anywhere I wanted, how I wanted, and I would never have to pay the price. Eventually, that price led me into prison, and it was prison where I learned about H&I. And the women would come in there, and I thought they were pretty square broads, and I'd say, well, I just want to get out to mingle amongst the rest of the women, you know, and get my laugh on and maybe fly a kite, trade some narcotics, and see who I could hook up with later. And what happened was the message came in clear. First thing I was looking for were the similarities. If you had an old man that was tough and hard on you, yeah, you're my kind of gal. I had nothing I really wanted to hear about changing my lifestyle. I couldn't wait to get out and to get right back into the game. We have a saying on the streets that if you're a player in the game, you're going to get played. And that's what drugs did to me, is I got played. Every time I thought I put on my sharp shoes, no matter how high the stiletto was, I always got played. It was a horrible, horrific game. And all I know is that when I was locked up and on lockdown, that's where the God of my understanding really began to work. I got quiet. I wasn't able to act out in ways that were detrimental to me. Now, please don't get it twisted. I know you can do a lot of acting out in jail. So I just want to encourage you to take a quiet time. I know that a lot of women and men find a God of their understanding when they're locked up, and utilize that. This is a program that's spiritually based. So why not start when you have to be alone and spend some quiet time reflecting. I used to wake up in prison and in jail, and even in my active addiction, I would wake up gasping. I felt like the twins, regret and remorse, would fall on my chest, and I could not breathe. And this is a shout out for women. Sometimes the things that we have to do, the getting and using and finding ways and means to get more, can be so horrific on our soul. and our spirit, losing children. And that's not to exclude you gentlemen. I'm sure you all have your own pain, but I can only feel what a woman feels. So take it easy and reach out. Try to start getting some kind of program. I know that that's what I did for myself in there. I started programming, reading the literature. I was a hardhead. I wasn't allowed to have anything in my particular cell after being put in solitaire, except for IP pamphlets. So they're free for the taking. Grab them. Try to find yourself. Again, I refer to this book because it was in here that I found myself. I found that I wasn't alone, and that I suffered from a disease called addiction. So what my life's like today, it's a little different. Again, I still have trouble thinking that I'm not a shot caller, that I'm not running game, that I'm not all hip, slick, cool, and fatal. I just started asking for help. When I originally got here, I could hardly speak. I was paranoid. I had bed bugs, I had lice, and my purses and my handbags no longer matched. I'd have one earring and all my look good was out the door. I came to these rooms because of love. So what I can tell you is that when you come into the rooms, the men and women of Narcotics Anonymous will love you. And that's all I've gotten is straight up love. If you like to be hooked on a great feeling, and we're the people. We're the people. You're going to walk in and you're going to feel that. And love is action. So let me tell you about how I've been loving myself a little bit. How I've been loving myself is I don't use anything no matter what. Now that's huge. I don't use no matter what, where, when, how, why, and more importantly, I don't use no matter who. And I've always been the who. Oh boy. So I suffer from a disease in my thinking, and the literature says that everything that we knew about living almost killed us, and that was my story. I have a lot of messed up messages in my head. You know, you made your bed, you lie in it, you did the crime, now do the time, and woo woo woo, and a lot of hard thinking and lifestyle. And I just want to say that that's slowly going away. I'm here to tell you that if you think you're coming into the rooms and poof, everything is gone, that hasn't been my story. It's been a process. One of the things I want to tell you is that for a long time, the obsession to return to the lifestyle was really big for me, and what I had to do, I kept talking about it, fussing about it. Oh, I still have an obsession to return to the lifestyle. And the men and women in these rooms suggested that I give it to a higher power. And I was like, I knew that prayer could relieve obsession. And there was a part of me, I'm telling you a secret here, there was a part of me that didn't want to let go of the obsession. It kind of kept me half in, half out. Oh no, because it was a reservation that I might want to go and use, and then everybody could say, yep, she was never relieved of that obsession. So here's the hit. I kept saying that, and then finally some men and women said, have you given it to your higher power? And see, I know the power of prayer, so no, I didn't want to give it because I didn't really want it relieved. And when I asked the God of my understanding to take away the obsession of the lifestyle, what I thought was fast and easy money, and forgetting the fact that I came in paranoid, tore up, dirty, and less than who I am authentically. When I finally turned that over, it's been lifted. So I pray that you'll remember to give that over. And I want to say, I want to tell about my last use and my first surrender. I was hooked up with somebody that provided me all of the things that I thought I needed. So there I was. I had a plate of all the things that I needed, and a black eye, and a place to live, and the ability to get and use and find ways and means to get more. And I got a text from my daughter and my grandchildren just telling me that I was loved, that they believed in me, that I was light and I was goodness, and that I had a great sense of humor, and that I really need to come home. Stop messing around. So I kind of want to shout that out to you. You're great, you're loved, you're light, you're lifted, and you really need to come home. And we hope that you find a home in Narcotics Anonymous. So that was my last use. I just kind of tipped my head and I said, you know, if I can get up out of this city, I think I'll be all right. And that was a long boat to China. That was a 3-hour bus ride on the Golden Gate Transit. And I just needed to get home. I just needed to get home. And when I got home, that began the first thing, and that's called surrender. So in our literature, it says the key to recovery is surrender. So I keep my last use and my first surrender really close, because I don't want to get that well and get that, you know, recovered, that I forget. And I don't know what your surrender is. I only hope and encourage you to make that surrender. Our literature says it's an extremely, deeply personal surrender. And I knew when it happened that it was like there was a paradigm shift. Something changed. And it was like I had a hope shot. It was like, I'm going to do this. I read the literature for a long time because I couldn't come into meetings because I could barely function, always looking over my shoulder. But I read the literature, and it said that the capacity to love and be loved would come back. And that's where I am today. I try to operate every morning in love, and I have a choice between living in fear or living in love, and I choose to live in love. So we've got these steps. I'm not going to break that all down to you. I just want to say that take it easy, pick up the literature, find a higher power, because our literature says that we're powerless addicts. And what we do up in here is connect to something greater than ourselves. When I was on the street, I loved power. I loved power. I was just as addicted to power as I was to the lifestyle. So when I heard that I could get some power up in here, I was like, let me have it. What do I need to do to get that? So I found power in the rooms. I found power in a sponsor. I found power in a support group. That's code for click. I found power in prayer, and I found power in the literature. So if I can give anything to you, just holler at a girl when you get it out into the meetings. I'll introduce you to a whole bunch of people. And another thing that helped me is I prayed for a friend. I prayed for a friend that I could walk this journey with, and I've gotten that. And I don't have no fancy car, no big old job. All we do is promise you from freedom from active addiction. And I can tell you, if you do what we do, I think you're going to be all right. And I want to thank you for all the love and encouragement that I've been given. And I know that you're going to give back to me what is so freely given to you. And with that, I'm out.